Hello everybody, welcome to part 7 of my offlane video series. I hope it is part 7. I'm recording a lot of these in order, but well, let's just hope it's part 7. Today I'm going to be talking about starting items. Now, starting items is something that not a lot of people cover. Maybe they don't think it's important. I personally think it's very important. What you do with the first 600 gold is going to really define your laning stage, right? This is going to be a big part of your early game net worth, and it's going to be changing a lot about how you can play the lane or how you should play the lane. Before the lane starts, you should always look at the enemy heroes, who you think is going to be in your lane. In this case, I'm playing Abaddon, and I think I'm going to be playing against a PA, at least. And in this case, I think it's Batrider Pos 5. So I'm starting Magic Stick because they're going to be spamming spells. Like, obviously, any fucking idiot can tell you this, right? Sticky Napalm, Dagger. The question is, how much spam does there have to be for you to consider buying a stick? A lot of people, they think that stick first item is like kind of bad. I would argue otherwise. I would buy magic stick against any sort of hero that uses like one or two spells per wave. Against a PL, I might buy a stick because he's going to be using the lance, for example, like every 20 seconds ish or 10 seconds ish, right? Against some supports, I'll buy it. It doesn't always have to be like Bristle, PA, Batrider, I buy a stick, right? It just depends on the game. In this case, I'm a low armor hero against right click carry, so I'm going to be buying Ring of Protection. And Quelling Blade and Tangos are pretty much mandatory. So that pretty much sums up my entire build. So we can see that um, with this build, I have no mana regen, or my mana regen is going to come from Magic Stick, right? So the lane starts, they already use a lot of spells on me. I get quite a lot of stick charges, which is always good, makes me happy. You can see that in this case, I use my aggro trick to pull these three ranged, and then I aggro these two onto the ranged. Ends up not being quite enough damage to put it into deny range, but good enough, essentially. I aggro these onto the range. Now I'm trying to force a deny. If you can force a dagger when you buy magic state, it's good. Now, at the moment, a lot of people, they'll hold on to this, but I'm pretty sure in my case, I just end up pressing it because I know they're going to be spamming more spells on me, and I use the shield because I want to be healing both mana and health. So you want to play around what items you have as well. Don't just buy the items and then never use them, right? It's kind of bad. So now I'm up to 500, 600 gold, and now I'm just going to be buying full bracer and two mangoes. Now, the reason is my lane is going pretty well. I don't feel like I need to buy any more regen. I just feel like I'm not doing incredibly well in terms of contesting last hits against PA. As you can see, it's going pretty well, 12 against 7, right? But just a plus 8 damage, some mangoes for some mana, a little bit of health regen, and I won't feel the need to buy any tangos for the rest of the lane, and I'll be feeling good about life. A common mistake that people make is they upgrade the magic stick too early. Just because I'm playing against the lane which is going to put me up to 20 quite quickly, doesn't mean I have to upgrade it. Because every time it goes up to 10, I can choose to press it, and then I'm not paying 150 gold for +1 all stats. And I'm not having inventory space problems either. So when the lane resumes, you can see that now I buy the magic stick, but not before my bracer and everything. In this case, I want to buy it because I'm playing against like a super spam lane. This is fucking Batrider and PA. Like, it's a bit much, right? Right now, I buy 3 more tangos because I'm out of tangos. And now I have my mangoes as well. And I have 6 health regen. And PA is going to be constantly having to buy more regen. Whereas I can just pretty much sit in my lane and have 6 health regen for free. And now this lane is pretty much over, I'd say. I have 35 last hits against 22. And I'd say a large part of it has to do with the early game itemization. I don't take too much damage. I have a very cheap sustain. Now I buy the chainmail as well before the boots because I feel like he's just going to be clicking me, especially with his level 6. And you can see I'm winning this trade quite handily as a result of it. I end up diving him under his tower. I have 14 stake charges in case I feel the need. So this is one example of good starting items, right? We can have a look at another case. I think this was in the last video, um, where I play Doom against Monkey King. So since I'm playing Doom against Monkey King, with a clockwork who's not going to be helping me too much in lane, I just start boots, right? And essentially I'm just going to be wanting to run the creeps around. So with the boots, you're going to notice I don't fight the Monkey King at all, pretty much in lane. Put it on player perspective, perhaps. See that with the boots, I'm just dragging creeps around, right? I'm running away from Monkey King, not letting him stack Jingu on me. I'll just let this play a little bit. You can see that I'm always trying to stay a little bit out of Jingu range. Because I know that as Doom, eventually I'm going to win this lane because the Devour is giving me free gold. And the other thing is, whatever you buy for starting items, you still have to buy the items that you need later on. So because I started with absolutely no mana regen, no quelling blade, I'm still going to buy it now. A lot of people I see, they start boots and then they just start buying like random items. If you have boots bottle at minute 4 as an offlaner, you have absolutely no fucking stats. It's going to be really, really rough lane for you. You need to still cover your problems, right? With your next few item purchases. So by running around, they don't get any Jingu on me, they don't do too much harass to me, and I'm 7 last hits against 6, which is good, 8 against 6, and I'm also winning because of Devour. And this lane also becomes easier for us once I get more levels in Scorched Earth. So right now, I buy the magic stick because I want some cheap regen, because the Lich is going to be spamming his Q a lot on a 7-second cooldown. So this is what I mean about buying magic stick against not just PA, not just Bat Rider, like the obvious ones, right? So in this case, I get 2 points in my Scorched Earth, and now I'm running down the monkey with my clock. He ends up stacking onto me, I think, 4 charges, and then I press Glyph, and he can't heal, and he's now dead, and now the lane is pretty much over, right? I have so much regen, we're winning on CS. I have a lot of cheap regen as well, like the magic stick is not as expensive as him buying tangos and salves and things like that. Once again, they run at me. See, they're like having trouble even sticking the charges on me just because I have boots. Next, I'm rushing the chainmail into phase boots because I just want to run away from monkey. And now I'm running down the lich, and now we're running down the monkey as well. And you can just see that with the itemization and the way I play, it's making the lane a lot easier than if I just started gauntlets and, you know, quelling blade. You just run at me, he'd get the Jingu mastery, he'd deny all the creeps, or he'd kill me. Another case of a slight differ in starting items you can do is sometimes you can play a little bit more aggressive than usual, I guess. I believe it is this game where I play against a Spectre. Yeah, I think so. So in this case, I'm playing against Spectre as Mars. Usually people will just buy whatever, like stat items, right? But in this particular case, I feel like I'm the one who has to play aggressive. A lot of these Spectre players, they just buy the little ring of health thing, and they just try to stay alive throughout the lane. And if you just try and contest last hits with them, they're happy, right? You generally have to play more aggressive than that. So in this case, I start with Orb of Venom and no Quelling Blade, because I know if I just keep fighting Spectre, it's not really about how the last hitting is going to go, right? So you can see that with the Orb of Venom, the lane starts, we go on the Spectre immediately. And then throughout the lane, as long as Tusk isn't here, I'm just going to be running at people, putting the Orb of Venom on them. Now, in this case, they ended up having a Tusk on me, which is kind of problematic, right? But I think they end up killing me twice, which is really, really bad. But even though they kill me twice, which may seem like the lane is just over, they might even kill me 3 times. But they're tri-laning on me, so I can assume that their offlaner is having an equally bad time. In this case, it's Enigma, which is so bad, I guess. But see, like our lane is really, really going to shit. Um, we're pretty much just trying to survive at this point, right? The last hit is not looking too good for us, but hopefully you can see it in a little bit. I'm just trying to play defensive, trying to aggro backwards, get free denies on the range creep whenever possible. See, I'm on like 11 last hits. Lane is not really going very well for me. I get my bottle, but eventually you can see that we're making a lot of pressure on them with the Orb Venom, right? Like we end up killing the Spectre even. I'm running at this guy, I miss my spear in this case, and I end up dying. But there's just a lot of heroes that if you buy Orb Venom against them, either starting gold or just sort of in the early game, you can do a lot of pressure on them. Heroes like Drow and Morph, I highly recommend you start Orb Venom against them and you just run at them. See, the lane ends up going relatively well. I wouldn't say that it's too much to do with my item build in this case because it went so badly in the early game because of the tri lane, but it certainly does help. Just try and experiment a little bit with your starting gold. The main items that you're going to be considering, let's see the learn tab, right? Against certain lanes, you're going to want to buy Magic Stick. Against certain lanes, you're going to be wanting to buy Orb of Venom, right? In some lanes, you're going to want to start with a full Bracer. Let me see if I can find an example of that actually. I think I played one recently where I just started with a full Bracer. Now, this game ended up going very badly because in my opinion, the puck was like kind of just griefing. But when you play against a sort of lane like PA Oracle, you might think that it's good to start Magic Stick because obviously he's going to be spamming the Shadow Daggers or whatever it's called, Stifling Daggers, same thing really. In this case, I start with Bracer and Tangos because I know in this lane, I'm mostly wanting to be contesting CS against PA. And as Night Stalker, because you're such a high damage hero, you might not need Quelling Blade. The nice thing about Bracer is that it's plus 8 damage, but also plus 8 damage on denies. Because Night Stalker is quite weak during the day, he's not really going to be fighting people with Void. Your main tool in lane is going to be denying creeps to win your lane. Now, this might not be the greatest example ever because my puck just ended up being so fucking bad, but you can see that I'm queuing up another Bracer and Magic Stick and Salve. Let's just see. I think I ended up disconnecting actually for the first wave, which really doesn't help the game. Yeah, I ended up lagging out. I reconnect, and you can see that he pretty much got a free first wave, right, on me because of my disconnect, but I'm constantly threatening denies on him because of my 71 damage with the Bracer, and he's having to choose between last hits, which wouldn't be the case if I had Quelling Blade, really. I'm using my Void for CS, and I also have a lot of free regen right now. Like, they're constantly doing things to me. I have 6 base regen, which makes it harder for them to fight the lane, really. I aggro backwards. I get some more free last hits. I pull this camp because my puck just is refusing to pull. He ends up getting solo killed by Oracle somehow. Just a real mystery. I end up dying as well. But with the double bracer, I start to do pretty well on the last hit department. You can see that my puck is just constantly feeding, which doesn't help anyone. But overall, I'd say that my personal last hitting has not been too bad. Like at the moment, I have 11 denies against PA, which is pretty much all you can hope for if you have a pos 4 that's constantly feeding like this, and it's level 3, right? I'm level 7, and I'm doing like 97 damage on denies, and I have 1,200 health. So sometimes it's good to start with a bracer as well. Um, Apart from that, sometimes you don't have to start Quelling Blade. If you play Centaur, it's like a really high damage hero. You can buy more stats and just push your deny advantage. Um, Very rarely, not very rarely, but sometimes you can buy Ring of Protection. If you're playing against Drow or some sort of harass hero, you can buy the Ring of Regen as well. I personally prefer mangoes generally, but if you can build this into one of these items that you need later on, it's nice. So yeah, just try and experiment a little bit more with your starting builds and try to understand exactly what each sort of safe lane duo is going to be weak to, because it's not always going to be Quelling Blade, Tango, and stat items.